السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
الله أكبر أشهد أن لا
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونؤمن به ونتوكل عليه ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا. من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله صلى الله عليه وسلم. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون. يا أيها الناس اتقوا ربكم الذي خلقكم من نفس واحدة وخلق منها زوجها وبث منهما رجالا كثيرا ونساء واتقوا الله الذي تساءلون به والأرحام إن الله كان عليكم رقيبا. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وقولوا قولا سديدا يصلح لكم أعمالكم ويغفر لكم ذنوبكم ومن يطع الله ورسوله فقد فاز فوزا عظيما. أما بعد فإن أصدق الحديث كتاب الله وخير الهدي هدي محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وشر الأمور محدثاتها وكل محدثة بدعة وكل بدعة ضلالة وكل ضلالة في النار. Brothers and sisters, I want to begin this khutbah with reminding you of the life of one of the companions. And And we'll tie that in, inshallah, into the virtues of the Hijjah. During the time of the Prophet ﷺ, there was a young companion, there was a young man, in fact, at that time, whose name was Mus'ab ibn Umayr. Mus'ab ibn Umayr was amongst the elite of the noblemen, of the nobility of Quraysh. Those nowadays that we say they live in Manhattan, they live in Beverly Hills, they live in the upper echelons of Montgomery County, whatever you may say, those that have it good. In Mecca, there was also this crowd that money was not a factor for them. And because they had money to spend, they did not have to go and do too much physical work. They were able to keep themselves very nice and well maintained. And amongst them was a man named Mus'ab ibn Umayr, a dashing youth, someone that everyone used to look up to, who was very handsome, well off, and never had to worry about anything. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guided this man to Islam, this youth. And his life completely changed as a result of it. He was ostracized from his family, the wealth was taken away. All of this for saying, La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah. He lost it all in terms of this dunya, but in terms of the hereafter, the Prophet ﷺ gave him special status. He was one of 2 ambassadors sent to Medina. And as a result of his eloquence, as a result of his charisma, tribes started flowing into Medina, and that's what led to Medina becoming the first purpose-built city where the Muslims were able to escape from Mecca and seek refuge in Medina. Why am I sharing all of this? In the Battle of Uhud, Mus'ab bin Umayr was fighting alongside the companions, and he met his end. May Allah give him the highest levels of Jannah. As a result of his passing away, I believe either Uhud or Badr, but one of the early battles, they came to bury him. And when they came to bury him, they noticed that they didn't have enough burial shrouds to completely cover him. As you know, for those that pass away defending the religion in justified struggle and jihad, they don't need to be washed. They just need to be covered and buried. Should be easy, right? But they're looking after Mus'ab bin Umayr, and they found just a sheet that he had, and when they would go to cover his head, his feet would show. And when they would take the shroud down to cover his feet, his head would show. It's like if you had a blanket, you're trying to sleep and it's just not covering you properly. And the companions began to cry. And this is subhanAllah, this was a man before who probably owned hundreds of these, who had more money than we could even imagine. And right now, we can't even find a shroud to completely enwrap him and close him. But look how much he has sacrificed for the sake of Allah. He has sacrificed himself, and he has sacrificed all of his wealth that he had. Once again, why am I sharing this? First off, of course, to remind us of the sacrifice that the companions did. But even more beautifully, the Prophet ﷺ, when he was speaking about Dhul Hijjah, he said that there are no deeds done in the first 10 days of Dhul Hijjah, the time that we are in right now, except that these are the most beloved to Allah in the entire year. The best 10 nights of the year may be in Ramadan, in the most virtuous month of the month, virtuous days of the month. But the best days when the sun is out is in Dhul Hijjah, these 10 days that we are in right now. And the Prophet said there is no deed done better except than in these 10 days. And the companions, as you can imagine, they have endured lots of sacrifice. Many of them had gone out to war to defend the Muslims. So he's speaking to a group of veterans. And so they look up at him, knowing the virtues of martyrdom, and they say, not even jihad, fi sabilillah, not even going out in Allah's cause. In one hadith, the Prophet said, not even jihad. And in another version, he said, not even jihad, except for someone who goes out and they've completely sacrificed themselves and their money. Meaning they gave everything in Allah's cause. And they came back, kulla shay, with nothing. And the scholars share that in this hadith, the man that the Prophet was referring to was Mus'ab bin Umayr. That what he did was an ultimate sacrifice. And just imagine that you have a great job, you live in a good neighborhood, you drive comfortably, but then you've come to find that for you to remain Muslim means you might have to eschew, you might have to remove some of these affordances, some of these luxuries that you have become accustomed to. It will be very difficult for us to do so. We've become privileged, we've become so blessed, alhamdulillah. Mus'ab bin Umayr made that ultimate sacrifice. And we might wonder to ourselves, how do we get to that type of level? Prophet has made it easy for us. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made it easy for us. We are not being asked to give everything away. We are being asked to increase in our good deeds during these 10 days. And inshallah, we will be rewarded with high rewards, getting close to the level of people like Mus'ab bin Umayr. May Allah help us to take full advantage of these things. Brothers and sisters, the Prophet ﷺ told us during this time, he said, increase in the good that you do. And he didn't make it extra difficult. You know, in Ramadan there are specific prayers that we do, right? We do the Taraweeh, we do the Qiyam, we do the mandatory fasting during the day. The scholars share that one of the mercies of Dhul Hijjah is that there is no mandated good deed to do. And instead the Prophet ﷺ says, increase in your adhkar, increase in your supplication, increase in your tahleel, your tahmeed, and your takbir. Increase in saying Subhanallah, Alhamdulillah, Allahu Akbar. Beautiful phrases that remind us that really we shouldn't be worshipping anyone else. That right now in this khutbah, instead of thinking about our finances or thinking about our family, to spend a few moments just thinking about Allah. That when we go in sajda, or when we're reading Surah Fatiha, and we're saying Iyaka na'budu wa iyaka nasta'in, we're saying to you we worship. We're not thinking of someone else when we're saying Iyaka na'budu, we're thinking about Allah. To say tahmeed, to say Alhamdulillah. When you're saying Alhamdulillah, for example, in your hands, you're looking at these miraculous hands, these digits that can move on their own. That had we not seen hands and we were asked to make a perfect being, we probably would not even think about these and how our hands in themselves can contract. Not even thinking about all of the blessings around us, saying Alhamdulillah. Allah could have made this world very barren. He could have made all of it just a desert plain for us to live on and to just subsist on pills. And yet He has given us so much variety of food, of people, of languages, of races and colors, of diversity of thought, of diversity of geography. So much diversity He has given us when He did not need to, so that we may be grateful, so that we may enjoy of His bounty in the halal way. For that we say, Alhamdulillah. Allahu Akbar. That whatever thoughts we have in our mind, no matter how well we do in our lives, we still say God is greater. God gave me what I have. When we think we have our jobs because of our skills, but there are PhDs that still are looking for jobs, we know it's not because of us. We know because Allah gave us these jobs. When we see our families around us, we know that it wasn't just us that emitted substances and made these creations. Allah is the one that put life in them. And for that we say, Allahu Akbar. Allah is greater. Allah is greater. These are words that we all know. Words that were recommended to say after prayers. And so it's not like there's a super secret formula that only a few pious monks of a religion know, that a few imams of special masjids know. Rather, they have been made easy for all of us. These 10 days, when you think about them, why are they special? The scholars give a few reasons. One of them is that there are no other 10 days in the entire year when all of the different good deeds are possible to do in these 10 days. We are recommended in the first 9 days of the Hijjah before Eid to fast them. And so fasting is there. La ilaha illallah, the first proclamation, the first pillar, is what we're recommended to say, as shared in the hadith. Salah is something that we should be increasing. The obligatory is what we should focus on. If we're able to do a little bit extra, pray our sunnahs, for example. Maybe even get up for even 1 rak'ah or 2 rak'ahs at night for the witr, and for maybe just praying 2 rak'ahs before Fajr. And Hajj. Hajj, it's only possible in Dhul Hijjah, in these 10 days. And so this is a time that is truly blessed when you can do any of the good deeds. Of course, for us this year, we're unable to go for Hajj as a result of the ongoing pandemic. But may Allah return us to the blessed place. May Allah return us to Mecca and enable all of us to go for Hajj at least our first time, if not more times, and to go for Umrah, to enjoy the blessings that come from going for this. SubhanAllah, you don't realize how big of a blessing it is. You know, some are saying that last year's Hajj was the smallest in recorded history. Since the time of the Prophet ﷺ to now, the smallest Hajj was in 2020. Even though our ummah is bigger than ever, with billions of people, a virus that we're unable to see stopped all of us. Even with all the technology we had, we could not go for Hajj. SubhanAllah. Reminding us that Allah is the one in control, not us. So in these blessed 10 days, think about the good deeds that you enjoy doing. If it's charity, give charity during these times. Give it secretly and give it publicly so that others are encouraged. There are so many apps now where you can designate putting a few dollars, maybe $5 a day, and it'll automatically send it to a charity every day, such as Launch Goods. You can look at these online and set it so you don't miss out on these good deeds. But if you are able to intentionally donate, don't just have it on autopilot and you're sleeping on the good deeds, you still have them come in, but try to think sincerely about them. Because if you give with sincerity, we think about our Uyghur brothers and sisters, our Rohingya, our brothers and sisters across the world, in Sudan, Somalia, Ethiopia, all across the world. And then you donate, inshallah, Allah will multiply the good deeds that you have. And if you are someone who does not find it difficult to pray, then whenever you can, just stand up and pray 2 rak'ahs. Whatever the good deed is, find your good deed and say, inshallah, before Eid, I will start working more on this because, oh Allah, I don't want to miss out on this month. I don't want to miss out on this month. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله. Alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Brothers and sisters, when we look at the narrator of this hadith, the hadith that the best good deeds that you can do are in these best 10 days of Dhul Hijjah. and that there are no deeds that can be done that are better than the deeds done in the Hijrah. The narrator of this was Ibn Abbas, the cousin of the Prophet ﷺ. He narrated this hadith, and he was known to be a scholar of the people, meaning he was always accessible, he was always available. He would teach multiple classes in his house. Some say that you could consider it to be one of the first universities in history. That he would teach aqidah, that he would teach hadith, he would teach fiqh, he would teach different classes, and people would come for different classes and go. And he would just constantly be teaching all the time. They said when the 10 days of the Hijrah would come, he would disappear. He wouldn't be available. He would use that as his me time, his time to get close to Allah, to increase his own good deeds. Brothers and sisters, a lot of us might be busy right now, either with work or trying to do our Eid shopping. And these are important. But try to carve out some time that is just between you and Allah. Try to do some good deeds that are just between you and Allah. And you can say that I'm not doing it for anyone except for Allah. Don't make it that you're doing all of your good deeds in public and you're waiting to do a good deed until someone sees you. But instead, in the middle of the night, if you're possible, try praying. Try making some extra dua. If you're able to fast on Mondays and Thursdays, do that during this time. These are the blessed times that we should really try taking advantage of as much as possible. I end with one thing. One hadith as we're going through Al-Salihin. It is thinking and reflecting on having hope in Allah, which is so perfectly aligned with the mission of the Hijrah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us, I am as my servant thinks of me. It's a very, very deep hadith if you think about it. Some people, they just think of Allah as just, right and wrong scales, and then you go to heaven if you have good deeds. But others think of Allah as much more. The most merciful, the most loving, the one who makes all of our du'as come true in some form or fashion. That either the dua is answered directly, or something that was going to harm us is removed because of our dua. Increase in how you think about Allah, and you will enjoy these days more. And after you do all these good deeds, then Eid is here to truly celebrate that Allah gave us this opportunity to do it. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala help us in our endeavors to come close to Him. May He accept the good that we do. May He forgive us for the sins that we commit. And may He grant us Jannat al-Firdaus al-A'la with the prophets and the righteous. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. ربنا لا تزغ قلوبنا بعد إذ هديتنا وهب لنا من لدنك رحمة إنك أنت الوهاب. اللهم الصلاة.
الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح قد قامت الصلاة قد قامت الصلاة الله أكبر الله أكبر لا
الله أكبر. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. سبح اسم ربك الأعلى الذي
الذي خلق فسوى والذي قدر فهدى والذي أخرج المرعى فجعله غثاء أحوى سنقرئك فلا تنسى إلا ما شاء الله إنه يعلم الجهر وما يخفى ونيسرك لليسرى فذكر إن نفعت الذكرى سيذكر من يخشى ويتجنبها الأشقى الذي يصلى